Hola amigos, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam, and as promised, today I will share my final thoughts on the amazing Leica Summicron f2.0 spherical lens. If you're new to the channel and are interested in photography videos, specifically Leica content, consider subscribing to the channel as I will continue to release more of this type of content moving forward. Again, your support means a lot to me, so thank you very much. Now, a few months ago, I released a first look video about this lens. I wanted to take more time to get familiar with it before giving you guys my final thoughts on it. So I've been using it a lot for the last 4 or 5 months or so. I've taken it to a few staycations with my wife, shooting it around the house, and also a little bit of street photography in order to really see if this lens was as good as a lot of people claim it to be. The 35mm focal length is my favorite focal length of all time. I think I've mentioned this before in all of my videos. And the Leica Summicron is probably the most popular and most sold lens Leica has ever made. If you look online and do some research about this lens, I'll say 90% or more give this particular 35mm high praises due to its size, image quality, and construction. After all, it is a Leica lens, and that is what you expect from a lens in this price range. Now, my favorite 35mm lens of all time prior to owning this Summicron was my trusty Canon 35 f1.4L version 1. Now, this was the first L series lens that I ever bought once I got into photography over 10 years ago, and I absolutely loved that lens. It was sharp, super contrasty, and it really made me fall in love with this particular focal length. Now, unfortunately, the lens suffered from pretty bad chromatic aberration, which could be somewhat corrected via Lightroom. But other than that, I thought it was the perfect lens at the time. This Summicron, however, delivers basically everything that old Canon lens did for me and more. Now, I'm going to break this review in 4 parts. First of all, I'll talk about the build quality of the lens, usage and experience, image quality, and finally price. Now, my reviews are not technical, so I won't talk about sharpness, charts, or technical specifications per se. These are simply real-world usage of the lens and my personal opinions. Now, let's start with build quality. As you would expect from such a premium product, this lens feels solid in the hand. It is hefty, but not as heavy as the Summilux Leica lineup. All metal construction, brass as well. The focus tab moves super smooth with just the right amount of resistance for that critical focusing. The aperture clicks are snappy and solid, and aesthetically the lens just looks beautiful, especially in this silver version. There's also a black version as well, which I believe it's a few $100s cheaper, and I think even lighter in weight as well. But to me, the combination of a silver with a black camera just looks amazing. Also, I love the metal hood that comes with the lens. It screws in perfectly on the lens, and it just feels like a real solid lens. Number 2, usage and experience. The biggest pro for me is obviously the size of this lens. Much like a lot of the rangefinder and mount lenses, this particular 35mm does not get in the way, and it is so comfortable to carry around as a one lens kit that it really just begs to go out and shoot with it. As I mentioned in the build quality, the old manual and mechanical properties of this Summicron makes it a real joy to use. It really connects you to your camera and your subject in a way no autofocus camera will ever do, which is why I'm in love with the Leica M system. Now, another great feature about this lens is the fact that I can actually use it with my SL2 camera via the M2L adapter. Obviously, you trade off a little bit of size by using a much larger camera compared to Leica M, but still manageable enough as a daily carry. Plus, you can take the advantage of pretty much all the new tech that the SL2 offers compared to the more classic feel of a rangefinder series camera. Number 3, image quality. Can this lens deliver sharp, contrasty, and pleasing images? Absolutely. There really isn't one negative thing I can say about it, which makes this review sound pretty biased, I guess, but in reality, it's all true. Out of the camera, you get a classic Leica look that a lot of people look for, but in a more modern and clinical way thanks to the latest lens design of this particular version. I believe there are about 6 different versions Leica has made of this Summicron lens. This one is the latest spherical one, so it carries basically all of the updated optics and technology. Now, at 2.0 aperture, you get pleasing bokeh, wide open with excellent sharpness, and as far as I can see, and as you stop it down to around 5.6, it is razor sharp. Now, one thing I love about the color rendering of this lens, and basically all Leica lenses, is that the DNG files just beg to be color graded. They sort of have like a nice muted look, which I guess it's sort of that Leica signature look that a lot of people talk about. I tend to have a heavy hand when it comes to grading, and I feel like the images hold up extremely well when applying a lot of color and saturation to give your images that final look. Now, number 4, price. After all the high praises I've given this lens, I've basically come to the part of the video where the subject becomes controversial and divided amongst photographers or just people in general regarding how expensive Leica products are. Now, yes, this lens and basically all Leica products are extremely expensive. This subject has been beaten to death, and yet people still can't grasp why that is. Leica is a luxury brand. They are unique in what they do. The craftsmanship, surpasses everything else that's out in the market, in my own personal opinion. They have a long history in the camera world, and they simply make great products, but they're not for everybody. Now, this particular copy in silver retails for almost $4,000 and $3,800 US for the black version, brand new. I picked mine up used, which is what I normally do with just about any big ticket items that I buy. Now, this copy was in basically mint condition, and I was lucky enough to find a great deal on it, so I basically took the plunge once I saw it. Now, one of the positive things about investing in Leica gear is that they do not depreciate in value as much as other brands out there, specifically glass. So you will be pretty safe to recoup at the very least 90% of your investment if you were to sell it down the road. Now, sometimes even more, if you get lucky and find a desperate buyer or even a seller if you're looking to buy one used. You won't find many of these lenses available in the used market, so whenever they pop up, they go up pretty quickly if it is priced a little bit below the normal used price range. Now, can you get by with a cheaper alternative? Absolutely. Companies like Voigtlander make amazing products as well for basically a fraction of the Leica prices. Can they reproduce a similar image? Of course, but at the end of the day, it all depends on what you want and what you are basically willing to spend. Would I recommend this Leica lens? Absolutely. A Leica is almost like an heirloom. If you can swing it, by all means, go and buy one. I don't think you will be disappointed with this lens. One final thing I want to talk about is why I picked the 2.0 Summicron versus the faster 1.4 Summilux version of this lens. The obvious reason was the price difference. The 1.4 Summilux, it's $2,000 more than the Summicron for one. Also, the size was an important factor for me. I got into Leica mostly because of the more comfortable and compact system. So there is quite a bit of size and weight difference between the two. And finally, when it comes to shadow depth of field and fast lenses, I prefer the look of a 50mm or even a longer telephoto lens due to the compression and the background separation that you get out of those focal lens. Now, the 35mm is more of a wide angle lens, and I feel like you don't benefit as much by having that extra stop in your images unless your goal is to do night or low light photography, and that is not something that I typically do. Okay, this is it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed today's gear spotlight. Thank you all for watching, and as always, please share the video, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and remember to ring that bell to stay notified on future videos. Remember to look me up on Instagram, and I will see you all in the next video. Cheers.